All right, is everyone ready? All right. So today's lesson is about environmental problems. So what are environmental problems? Oh, I can't talk about. All right. So can anyone tell me what environmental problems are?
นักเรียนครับเมื่อวานเราเรียนกันไปแล้วมีอะไรบ้างครับช่วยตอบหน่อยครับนักเรียนครับปัญหาสิ่งแวดล้อมมีอะไรบ้างครับนักเรียนครับตอบในช่องแชทด้วยก็ได้มาเลยก็ได้ครับนักเรียนครับตอบในแชทครับ
Okay, no one wants to answer. That's fine. So, vocabulary for this lesson. Let's go through these words. Who can tell me what flooding means?
flooding แปลว่าอะไรครับนักเรียนมีใครทราบไหมครับตอบในช่องแชทได้เลยครับCan repeat student
Yeah.
มา44 said น้ำท่วมถูกต้องครับ
Good. All right. How about a drought? What is a drought?
drought คืออะไรครับนักเรียนครับพิมพ์ในช่องแชทเลยครับ
Who can tell me what a drought is? It's basically the opposite of a flood. If a flood, it means there's too much water, right?
แห้งแล้งถูกต้องครับ
Next one, wildfire. What's a wildfire?
ช่วยกันตอบเร็วครับนักเรียนครับ wildfire คืออะไรครับ
You all know what a fire is, right? So, yep.
ต้องครับนาโนถูกต้องครับ
So you can say a wildfire or a forest fire, same thing. All right, next one, carbon. What's carbon? There's no Thai word for carbon, is there?
No, I don't think so. We use the same thing. gas carbon ครับถูกต้องครับ
Well, it's not just gas. It could be a solid too. But okay. Capture. What does capture mean? If you capture something. Good.
จับได้ครับ
Next one, methane. What is methane?
You the same I think
Yeah, I think it's the same as carbon. Like there's no real word for it. Methane. Yep. So you know what it is, though, right? You know what
methane yeah you call me methane
feedback cycle. What is a feedback cycle? Anyone know that one?
คืออะไรครับ feedback cycle ข้อเสนอแนะครับเป็น feedback เป็นใช่ครับประมาณนั้นนะครับ
Like you do something, you get feedback, you change it, you get more feedback, and it's like a cycle that keeps going on. All right. How about asteroid mining? So do you know what mining means? If you go mining, what is mining?
คืออะไรครับ
Yeah, it's like when you dig in the ground for materials, like you dig for coal or what else do you mine? Mine salt, you can mine coal, you can mine diamonds. It's like just getting things from underground. So what's asteroid mining? You know what an asteroid is?
คืออะไรครับนักเรียนครับ asteroid
I can't do that.
this is the same as fossil
Huh?
asteroid
An asteroid is like like a big rock in space. So
การขุดเจาะดาวเคราะห์น้อย
yeah, so you just go into space, probably with robots, and you land on an asteroid and you dig into the asteroid for materials. All right, next one, nuclear fusion. What is nuclear fusion? Nuclear fusion. Okay, I guess there's no timer for that, right?
you always use the same
Is there really no time word for nuclear fusion?
fusion is melting right melt
Fusion's like when you put two things together. Like you know in Dragon Ball when they do the fusion, become like Goku and Vegeta do fusion. They
to become one right
yeah. There's got to be a word for that in Thai.
I think we use the same
All right. How about fungus? What is a fungus?
ถูกต้องครับเชื้อรา
That's a type of fungus. Like remember, like mushrooms are a fungus too.
เห็ดก็เป็นหนึ่งในเชื้อราเหมือนกันครับ
Last one, biochemical engineering. A long one. Who can tell me what biochemical engineering is?
คืออะไรครับ สาขาอะไรถูกต้องครับ วิศวกรรมเคมีนะฮะชีวเคมี ชีวเคมีถูกต้องครับ
All right, so we are going to watch a video. So this video is about plastic waste. Okay, ready?
Mushrooms are a versatile ingredient that can work in almost any dish, but why limit them to the kitchen? Why not use them out here? That outdoor furniture is made from fungus.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
The curious concept comes from a husband and wife design team.
Using sort of organic material that will return to the earth in a really natural way is important just for our practice.
Fungus is fast growing, it's reasonably resilient, and it doesn't need very many energy inputs to grow.
The duo made the benches by first allowing mushroom roots or mycelium to grow in sawdust. After that, the mixture was packed into molds and left for 5 days.
It's about the same or a little bit stronger than most polystyrene foams.
While furniture is the focus here, the mushroom-based material is also being used to produce home insulation, fiberboard, and packaging products. A growing number of people around the world are working with mycelium. Their goal is to find a durable, biodegradable, multi-purpose material.
You can make so many types of things out of this material.
Philip Ross heads a San Francisco company dedicated to making things out of mushrooms. He wants his products to replace non-organic materials like styrofoam and plastic.
Anybody who's concerned about the chemicals or of the toxic effect of longer lasting plastics, they should absolutely be thinking about these types of things.
Mushrooms are far from mainstream in the manufacturing world, but several companies like IKEA are now exploring their uses. As for those mushroom benches, they were left untreated and will eventually decompose, a true reflection of what it means to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Melanie Nagy, CTV News, Vancouver.
All right. So, did you guys understand that video? What were they talking about?
ในวิดีโอพูดเกี่ยวกับเรื่องอะไรบ้างครับนักเรียนครับใครทราบบ้างครับ
mushroom
Yep, talking about mushrooms.
ครับถูกต้องครับเอามาทำอะไรครับนักเรียน
What about mushrooms?
A uses intense plastic and foam.
Yep. So the solution they had to the problem of plastic waste was they used biochemical engineering using natural materials that you can grow. A lot of waste comes from packaging materials like styrofoam and plastic. We can reduce or eliminate using foam and plastic. We have a chance to take a bite out of the elephant. Right, so basically they're saying that we can use natural things that will naturally degrade over time instead of plastic, because plastic stays for like hundreds, thousands of years, right? But if you make stuff out of a natural material like mushrooms, when you're done with it, it'll just go back into nature because it's already natural, right? Okay. All right. Here's the next one. Harming our environment to get resources. Ready?
With us now, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, director of the Hayden Planetarium here in New York. Welcome.
Thanks for having me back.
Sounds a bit like science fiction, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think all great ideas have a flavor of science fiction. Otherwise, it's an ordinary idea. And so it has just the right amount of crazy and just the right amount of, hey, that's, there are resources out there. Think what we're doing here on Earth. We're waging war and fighting each other to pull precious metals and other resources deemed rare out of the ground, and this is our life down here on this speck we call Earth, and there's this abundance of materials in the universe.
Is there enough, though, in this idea, there's that little bit of crazy to get you going, is there enough potential reality, though, that you see this as something that could actually work? Because harnessing that asteroid doesn't exactly sound easy.
Yeah, so it's more than just harnessing the asteroid. It's creating an entire business model that gets you access to asteroids in the first place. So initially, and I chatted with them at a recent conference, and the founders of the company, and initially you can park telescopes out there. Once you know how to access asteroids whose orbits come near Earth, then you can turn it into an entire asteroid monitoring mission, first of all. Second, what's valuable in space is not the same thing that's valuable down here. For example, you can ask, what is the value of a gallon of water already in space? That's different from a gallon of water here on Earth. When NASA needs water, it's got to haul water up in space with it. And that last prices, that was at least $10,000 a pound just for water. So for example, if you can extract water from one of the asteroids, then you have water in space. What's that worth to NASA? All right, if they can provide that to NASA for less than what it takes NASA to get these resources into space to do whatever it needs to do in space, then that's a business model right there. Somebody's got to take these first steps. I'm glad they're doing it. I mean,
What do you say to those who say the next frontier is the bottom of the ocean, not outer space?
yeah, I love who doesn't love the bottom of the ocean?
It's lovely this time of year,
It's
Neil.
lovely this time. You must go. So here's the thing. If you stand in front of a class and say, who wants to go in a submersible to the deepest part of the ocean and see what life is
chilly.
see what life is there? That's kind of cool. That's the oceanographer. Then I go in and say, who wants to command a ship to Mars and look for life in the soils of Mars? I win. I win that exchange every time because space just works.
So what's the most exciting thing that we can do, whether it's 10 years or 20 years or 50 years?
You have to realize that modest-sized asteroids. So you know what asteroids are? They're like the fragments of planets that never formed fully. But many of them, all the materials have already been segregated for us. Segregate, a good term in this context. And so you get the heavy metals in the center and the lighter materials in the top. You fragment this body, and now you have chunks of asteroids that are pure heavy metals: platinum, iridium, osmium, gold.
Which sounds like it could be great. So if you can get it, it's easy. It's kind of laid out for you. It brings up, though, one of the last times you were here, you talked about this asteroid that could be heading for us in, say, 2029.
That'd be the bad kind of asteroid.
That's the bad kind of asteroid. But if we can figure out how to get a hold of the good kind of asteroid, could we also use that knowledge to get a hold of the bad asteroid and keep it from visiting?
By all means. One great vision of science fiction writers and science fact imaginers is that the mining companies that are working on these asteroids say, hey, one of those got Earth's name on it, it's headed our way. Why don't you deflect it over a few inches right now so that it misses Earth entirely on its whatever would be its fateful voyage towards us? Oh yeah, and you don't even need Bruce Willis for that. Once you know how to manipulate and use and operate on asteroids, you're good. You're good to go. And there are tens of thousands of these things.
When you come back here, I want you to dial it up. I want you to be more passionate about your subject.
Space is calling me.
We want to make sure you still win with that Mars over the submersibles every time.
Still go to the ocean, but space beckons us all.
Neil, always great to have you here. Thank you.
All right. So, what did you guys understand of that video?
นักเรียนครับ
I
วิดี
know
โอ
they're
อันนี้
kind of fast.
พูดถึงเรื่องอะไรครับวิดีโอวันนี้ ครับนักเรียนทราบไหมครับ
Did anyone know what they were talking about? Anything they were talking about? Did you get anything?
ใครอธิบายได้บ้างครับนักเรียน
No? Nothing?
มีใครตอบได้บ้างไหมครับมีไหมครับนักเรียนใครจับใจความสำคัญบ้าง
How about the first thing they were talking about was asteroid mining. Why did anyone hear why Neil deGrasse Tyson thought that asteroid mining was good?
เรียนไปแล้วครับศัพท์ asteroid mining คืออะไรครับนักเรียนการขุดเจาะดาวเคราะห์ใช่ไหมฮะมันดียังไงครับนักเรียนครับใครตอบได้ไหมครับ
Anybody?
no one
So they said that basically what he was saying was things in space are taking things into space are expensive. So he said, like, for example, water. If NASA wants to take water into space, like, what do you say, 100 gallons of water would be, yeah, liquid new material. But also, like, if you're in space and you get stuff from space, it saves you money and materials from having to take stuff from Earth. So, like, instead of taking water from Earth into space, you can just go into space and then get water from space. Or you could also get new materials. There's some materials that are really rare on Earth, but they're not rare in space. เห็นไหม
เข้าใจไหมครับนักเรียนคือมันยังไงมันจะแพงกว่านะครับถ้าเกิดเราจะเอาน้ำไปที่ดาวเคราะห์เนี่ยมันจะมีค่าใช้จ่ายแพงกว่าแต่ว่าถ้าเราหาวัตถุดิบจากดาวเคราะห์แล้วมาสู่โลกเนี่ยมันจะมีค่ามากกว่านะครับมีมูลค่ามากกว่าบางอย่างที่หายากอย่างเช่นทองอย่างเงี้ยครับในโลกแพงมากแต่ในดาวเคราะห์อาจจะไม่แพงอาจจะหาได้ง่ายกว่าครับประมาณนี้
So what do you guys think? Do you think asteroid mining is a good idea?
ส่งได้ไหมส่งไม่ได้แล้ว
Do you think it's something we should be doing? Anybody? What I want to know what you guys think.
นักเรียนคิดเห็น
Mine asteroids.
มีความคิดเห็นยังไงบ้างครับนักเรียนกับวิดีโอที่2เนี่ยครับเราควรไปขุดเจาะไหมไปหาไหมครับ มีความคิดเห็นยังไงบ้างครับโอเคครับเป็นความคิดที่ดีไหมครับ
You think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a waste of money? Do you think it's not gonna happen? What do you think?
โอเคครับตอบเลยครับมีความคิดเห็นยังไงกันบ้างครับ Kind of good, right?
Kind of good, right? Yeah. I mean, we have taken a lot of materials from Earth. So Earth doesn't have unlimited resources. So if we can get more resources from somewhere else, probably a good idea, I think. If we get our resources from space, we can give Earth a break and Earth can kind of recover from thousands of years of people destroying it. Okay. All right. So the solution was our high-tech society needs a lot of resources to make it run. Unfortunately, mining and processing resources is bad for the environment. Asteroid mining is a good way to save our environment from the harmful effects of mining activities. Yeah, so any kind of mining on Earth is real dirty. It's really bad for the environment. So if we can do it in space, Earth is safe. All right, here's another video. So the problem is fossil fuels are adding greenhouse gases. Okay.
A Wright brothers moment for energy. That's what some are calling a key achievement in nuclear fusion that was announced earlier this week. Scientists used 192 gigantic lasers to supercharge a pellet of hydrogen the size of a BB inside the enormous Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California. That created a nuclear fusion burst of 10 quadrillion watts of power for a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a second. Nuclear fusion is the same reaction that occurs in the sun and has long been a goal of scientists around the globe. To explain what all of this actually means is Michio Kaku. He joins us now. He's a professor of theoretical physics at the City College and City University of New York, author of The God Equation, The Quest for the Theory of Everything. I wish we had time to explain the theory of everything, Professor, but how big a breakthrough is this and what could it really mean?
Well, this is a giant step toward the holy grail of energy research. To hit break even, to extract more energy than you put in. And this could eventually become a game changer. You see, fusion reactor is carbon neutral. It does not create carbon dioxide. It does not create copious quantities of nuclear waste that you find in fission plants with uranium. It does not melt down. You cannot melt down a fusion reactor. And the fuel is seawater. Hydrogen from seawater could be the basic fuel. So this is too good to be true. And yet we've taken a giant step forward. However, there's some drawbacks that I should also point out as well.
Why don't you go to those drawbacks and let me just summarize what I think I just heard you say. This is a really big breakthrough, number one, and number two, it is safer theoretically than what we think of as conventional nuclear power.
That's right. This could be the energy source of the future. Cheap, too cheap to meter, using seawater, for God's sake, as its fuel, can't melt down, creates almost no nuclear waste. What's wrong? Why don't we have these now? Well, it turns out that when you heat hydrogen to tens of millions of degrees Fahrenheit, the temperature of the sun, things become unstable. And that's why this reaction took place over 100 trillionth of a second. Just a snap of the finger. So in other words, we want to have a continuous stream of energy, not bursts of energy like what we found here. Now, the French are also in a race. They have the ITER fusion reactor in Cardache, France. They're building their version of the fusion reactor. So we have a healthy competition now. 2 gigantic fusion reactors, one in the United States, 3 football fields in length, and another in the southern France, costing about $10 billion.
Very, very interesting. Professor Kaku, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
All right. So, did you guys understand that video?
It's quite hard.
These aren't easy videos to understand. Did you get anything from that? Can you tell me
นักเรียน
anything?
ครับ วิดีโอนี้คืออะไรครับ มีใครเข้าใจไหมครับ วิดีโอนี้อธิบายหลักการอะไรครับ Nope.
Yeah, I don't think this one's pretty difficult. Okay. Here, let me draw this first. All right, so there's 2 different kinds of nuclear reactions. You got, so you got
Nope.
So you got fusion and fission. I think I spelled that wrong. Sure. So fusion is when you combine things, right? Make 2 things into one. Fission is when you split something apart. Oh, I spelled it right. So
Yeah.
what we do now, the way we get nuclear power now is you take an atom of something, right? And then you split it in half. That's fission. So this takes a lot of energy, and it can be dangerous because it can overheat and cause like a big nuclear problem, like Fukushima. You know how that nuclear station like melted down because of this. But fusion, they're saying if you get like a bunch of other molecules or atoms and you get it really hot, like really, really hot, like millions of degrees using lasers, that it will fuse together and create more energy than it takes to heat it up. And it's safer and there's no carbon. I know this is really hard to explain.
Fission ก็คือการแบ่งตัวของอะตอมนะครับ การแตกตัวของอะตอม ส่วน fusion ก็คือการรวมตัวของอะตอม Is that right?
Yeah. So like what they're saying in the video was they were able to get hydrogen molecules that they got from seawater. So they just took some water from the ocean. They took hydrogen out of that water, and then they shot it with lasers to make it really hot. And when they made it really hot, the hydrogen produced like a lot of energy. It produced more energy than the lasers made. So you were able to get more energy than you started with. Which is good, because if you can get more energy than it takes to make it, then you always have more energy than you need. This is really complicated.
Yeah, it's too sad.
You guys kind of understand what I'm talking about?
นักเรียนเข้าใจไหมครับที่ทีเชอร์ปีเตอร์อธิบายเนี่ยพอจะเข้าใจไหมครับ maybe not.
Yeah, I didn't expect them to. It's really complicated. Okay. Basically, it's a new way to get energy. That's, if you can make it work, it'll make electricity almost free. All right, so the solution to power is switch to clean fusion power. Fossil fuels create greenhouse gases that are warming our planet, but nuclear fusion is a new clean technology that creates zero emissions and no nuclear waste. So if we can get nuclear fusion to work, we don't need to use fossil fuels anymore. Oh, my mouse moves really slow in that video. So do you understand this at all? I'm sorry, I know this is difficult.
พอจะเข้าใจไหมครับนักเรียน hard one, I think this one.
Yeah, basically nuclear fusion good, oil bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Y3 environment problem solution. Maybe let them do one for each student.
Yeah. So can you guys tell me? We only got 5 minutes left each. All right, anybody, can you tell me an environmental problem and give me one solution?
นักเรียนช่วยกันครับผม ปัญหาเกี่ยวกับทรัพยากรครับ แล้วก็การแก้ไขควรจะทำยังไงบ้างครับ มีปัญหาอะไรบ้างครับนักเรียนครับที่เราเจอกันอยู่ทุกวันนี้ครับ แล้วก็การแก้ไขควรจะเป็นยังไงบ้างครับ
Can you think of any environmental problems that we didn't cover yet?
มีไหมครับนักเรียนครับ ช่วยกันตอบในช่องแชทด้วยครับนักเรียนครับ มีปัญหาอะไรบ้างครับ ปัญหาสิ่งแวดล้อมอะไรบ้างครับ Should we pick some of
I
students?
guess Guess so, yeah.
อ่าเหมยครับเหมยอยู่ไหม
ค่ะ
เหมยมีปัญหาสิ่งแวดล้อมอะไรบ้างครับลองยกตัวอย่างมาสัก1 อันครับ
น้ำท่วม
ภาษาอังกฤษครับภาษาอังกฤษ
ภาษาอังกฤษ
คิดว่าอะไรครับ น้ำท่วม flooding ใช่ไหม
Alright, so what about flooding? How can you solve flooding?
flooding น้ำท่วมครับ จะแก้ปัญหายังไงดีครับ มีใครคิดวิธีการแก้ปัญหาน้ำท่วมได้ไหมครับนักเรียนครับ
Anybody? What's the way you can solve flooding problems?
Nano said build a dam.
Build a dam. Yeah, you could build a dam. What else could you do?
มีอะไรครับ สร้างเขื่อนละเพื่อนบอกสร้างเขื่อน นาโนบอกสร้างเขื่อน ของคนอื่นแล้วครับว่าไงบ้างครับ ช่วยพิมพ์ในช่องแชทหน่อยครับ มีอะไรครับ
Anyone have any other ideas besides building a dam? What can you do?
มีไหมครับไรมีไหมครับไรอยู่ไหมครับไร
ถูกครับ
จะแก้ปัญหาน้ำท่วมยังไงลูก
น้ำท่วม
ครับ
สูบน้ำเนี่ยครูแป๊บนึงนะครูแป๊บนึงนะ
Is it take the water out
ใช่ใช่ yes yes
pumping the water out
That works for a small area. But what if a whole city is flooded? How do you pump water out of the entire city?
ถ้าน้ำท่วมเมืองนะครับ จะแก้ปัญหายังไงครับ
Oh, it's 10 already. Time's up.
Okay.
All right. Well, time's up for this class. I'm sorry, this was a really difficult class to understand. There's a lot of complicated things in it. But all right, but that's it for this lesson. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you,
โอเค
class.
ครับอย่าลืมตามงานด้วยนะครับนักเรียนครับขอบคุณมากครับ